We need to put a sign up saying we're accepting donations of food time. Any footprints on that?
So we'll start in about 15 minutes. We're just waiting for Louise to get to the city.
Right,
You know what I
okay.
mean? So I don't wanna...
I'm looking forward to meeting you.
Yeah, she's mad. Yeah, so we'll just take some... You've got to take some pictures and start flipping, tweeting
Okay, guys. Hello there. We've arrived. We're in Nottingham. And you know what? I am so surprised. You're alright, hippie chick. I am pleasantly surprised. What a vibrant city. Pissing hell. There's so much shizzle going on. And it's probably, I must admit, this is probably one of the worst places to set it up because there's a nice kind of European market thing going on, and there's lots of lovely aromas, and I've only had 2 pieces of toast today, so my concentration levels. You're right, geezer.
All right, sunshine.
All right, mate. There's
Right,
Billy.
I'm taking a selfie of everything. I've got myself on it. What do I want my man there for?
In a bonnet or what?
Yeah, I'm on it. I'm trying to turn around and take one of those.
All right.
I've got my ugly mush on there.
What are you going live off your head?
Might do. Do you want me to?
I am.
Yeah.
I'm live now. Yeah.
So Phil, having a chill.
Here's Mike and Danny. How you doing, guys?
Yeah, okay, thanks, mate.
Okay. Amazing. Are you taking a picture or what? No, it's not, is it?
I just had you.
How have you?
Right, natural look. That's
The boys are on it. They're in good spirits.
right, we'll do a live.
Hopefully waiting for a positive day.
I'm getting pissed off, mate.
But the Hells Angels are here. Little kids on bikes. So you know what? It's can't believe how busy it is. Oh look, it's Anthony. You all right, mate?
Oh, guys.
You're looking forward to a good day or what, mate? The weather's on our side, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a beautiful day, isn't it? Perfect. Yeah. Not too hot, not too cold.
Yeah. So while you're here, mate, tell us why Nottingham, why we're here.
Well, there's an inquiry, extra inquiry starting this week. We've seen obviously in the media, you've seen about the Beechwood children's home and the systematic abuse which is going on there for years. Basically, it's been going. I think tracing it to like 50s, 60s onwards, through the 80s. Countless other children's homes around the area. I think I read the other day it's something like 908 reported cases. I think it is.
Really?
Across the Nottingham area for children's homes. I mean, we've all seen mentioned obviously the Melanie Shaw case in the Beechwood, and Mickey Summers, who's a survivor, has been speaking out a lot. Yeah, so we're here just basically to spread the movement further around the country, to show that we're here. Yeah, we're here. We care. To give again empowering survivors to speak. Today there'll be survivors speaking. A chance for people to come down and find out what we're about, and if they want to get involved, hopefully some survivors may even not come along. And we haven't met before, and can join in this movement, and showing that showing Nottingham that we care as well. I mean, we've been to Rochdale for the systematic, the abuse there, in Old View. We've been down Speakers Corner to really start off the whole movement. And we've got other areas that will be next on the list, but this one, like I said, it's just a chance to show, Nottingham. It's yet another place that's been scarred by abuse.
In terms of news and the stuff that's going on here, on a broader level, you don't hear about it. I mean, Nottingham is a destination. I mean, I'm not one for reading mass media anyway, but it just doesn't crop up when it comes to statistics and crimes and whatnot. So basically, that's why you're doing it, isn't it, really?
You don't. In the media, it's one of them. They do seem to, obviously with inquiries going on, they try to keep it as quiet as possible. But I mean, when you hear about Weymouth, I think that's quite famous home there. The institutions of abuse linked to high-up people. I think what we're going to find out is, I think there's so many children's homes across the UK where kids have been abused, boys, girls, and there's more than likely a network involved as well as people involved in this. And it's not this will just be what's happening here will be happening. It would have happened in so many other places involved in that.
And there'll be links to kind of connect the dots all the way through.
I don't know for a second if they would have been linked to, because there were people back then who were in positions of power in certain areas of authority in their local areas who would have wanted access to children, and these homes were seen as easy prey. And I think that's what we've been finding out. It's been systematic for, just like we've had the Catholic Church abuse, we've got the children home abuse, and I think more will come out in different areas, like in sport as well. We've all seen Barry Bevan recently, and I think there'll be more to come from that as well on the historic side. So, I mean, it's child abuse. It has unfortunately, no boundaries. They will target anywhere where there are children available to them. And it's just a case of, this is us showing the people, the survivors from around here, the town, that people do care, and we want survivors to be empowered.
No, on my journey doing this, mate, what I'm discovering now, we can't criticise every healthcare system and every, childcare system, but within that, as an individual myself, I feel that these systems are set up so you almost think, oh well, that's good. They can deal with the problem of people that have got issues, mental, whatever, being abused, whatever. So you then tend to take your eye off the ball and think, well, these guys are looking after it. But by very nature, it seems that these guys then have got a little place that is quiet within this system that everyone seems to think is working for all these victims, but in reality, it's so nefarious in the stuff that's working against them. And it's like things like what we're doing now is trying to highlight that, we're not criticising every care system. We're just saying, listen, within the system itself, you can see there are black spots. You can see there are care homes that no one really bothers about, because we all assume they're care homes. By very definition, they're caring for people, when in reality, the opposite is happening, and it's systematic.
Yeah, well, I think the Catholic Church is a prime example of that as well. I mean, there's nuns as well that works in there, but I think recently in Scotland there was arrests made over like physical abuse and what happened with the nuns and obviously the priests. And these again are people who people trust and thought they were helping. So it does happen I think it's a similar thing with these care homes. People trust these people with the kids, they're seen as people who are looking out for the kids, that have the kids' best interests at heart. But unfortunately, you are going to get these people who will abuse this position of power and who use it to further their own perverted needs, so to speak. And I think that's what we're finding. We've got, I know for a fact, I know from my local area, there's even still now, you do get girls that go missing from certain care homes and are being targeted by, for instance, the grooming gang culture as well.
Right.
So they do target the vulnerable, and I know, especially now, it's probably quite hard for them to keep these kids in to know where they are 24/7. But unfortunately, the people aren't really doing. When the kids go missing, there's not really much of an urgency in trying to find them, and this is where these gangs are exploiting the children. And I think again, this goes back to. I think I read again about the Beechwood House. The amount, I think it's 400 a year or something.
Really?
Was it 400 in 2 years that went missing? And obviously they came back, but they were reported missing, and then they came back. And these things that they weren't being investigated by police again. So there's so many things that need to be looked into. The inquiry is needed. Again, hoping that they get the right results and that there can be further. I think there's been a few prosecutions already on things as well. I read in the other day. So it's just. The main thing about today is we're not here to call for justice, call for that. We're here for survivors. However much you want to see people brought to justice for whatever crimes they may be, the most important. I was just talking about it earlier, and I said if you had a choice of if someone offered you 50 paedophiles to be sent to prison, or there's a chance of 10 people who could either get support or you could save a child's life, then I'd take them 10 any day over them 50. And that's the most important thing, is prioritising the people. We want the victims, the survivors, to make sure that either if they're current, we can safeguard, and obviously the historic ones, that they get the help they need and that they know that they're here for it.
It's not about hatred, it's about help, isn't it?
Yes.
That's the main thing. Mate, thank you for having this little chat with us. Have a good one. I'll probably catch up with you at some point later.
Yeah, you'll hear me waffling on.
Good luck, mate. Have a good one. Right. That was Anthony Wood, Naga. What a guy. What a message. Right, so I'm assuming, guys, the sound is okay. Everything seems to be cooking. If not, let me know. So there's a lot going on. There's different demonstrations going on. There's a stand-up to racism, I think. You're all right, Martin. Cheers, mate. Oh, cheers, Green King. Listen, guys, honestly, your support, you don't know what it does. And I'm just going to offset that support that you're giving me to these guys. Seriously, that's why I'm here. So I'm loving it, loving the positivity. So is the sound good, guys? Hopefully it'll be all right. But you know what I'm going to do before it's not actually due to kick off yet? Okay, brilliant, Sir Steve. United person, you. Right, I'm going to have a little walk because it's not quite started yet and there's a couple of other things going on. Yeah, right, Billy? Right, I'm going to have a little walk and let's see if it gets me in trouble or not. Okay, round the corner here was some kind of demonstration going on with flat screen TVs and whatnot, so I just want to get it on camera. Sound is good, picture is a bit off. Yeah, it could be the bandwidth, mate. I've got no control over that, my friend. So if that happens, I do apologise. Look, we've got some anonymous-looking geezers here. I think it's to do about animal rights and whatnot. I think. Let's have a little look here. Bit of a silent protest here. Yeah, it's about animal rights, I guess. It'd be interesting to see if all these are vegans, because really, in order for them to show this, then it'd be quite hypocritical if you're then going to go to McDonald's on the way home for a burger. But I don't know. I'm just kind of chatting here. Yeah, I know, mate. Lots of people using phones, the bandwidth. Yeah, signal's mashed up.
How many people have you got watching?
At the moment, mate, only probably 66.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's not bad. It'll grow. I'm actually attending another event round the corner, so I just seen this as I was walking past. Are you to do with this?
Yeah, I'm with this.
So,
yeah.
do you mind if I film you as?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not here to put you under any spotlight. I just want to know what it is you're on about. What is it? What's going on?
So today we're showing people of Nottingham where our food comes from.
Right.
So where our meat, dairy, and eggs come from.
Right.
We're showing a documentary called Land of Hope and Glory.
Okay.
And it's a documentary by an activist called Earthling Ed, a few other activists. They've gone into normal farms, normal slaughterhouses in the UK to film the standard practice of how we get the meat from the animal to our plates. And we're just asking simple questions like, what's the difference between killing a pig, killing a dog? Do we need to do it? Like, can we survive without meat? Are there alternatives right now?
Are you a vegan?
Yeah.
So you believe we don't need meat in our diet?
Totally not. Vegan
At all?
At all, no.
Okay.
It's one of the healthiest diets you can have.
Right.
But it's not about meat. Even though I used to eat meat for 20 years.
I'm a big believer in protein. I do believe, honestly, and I'm not disregarding anything you see, because some of the images I'm seeing there, I don't want to know that that's going on, and I think that's half the problem, that a lot of people just buy the meat because it's wrapped in cellophane in the supermarket, and so I don't want to see that. But at the same time, I am an advocate that from eons that the earliest man has ate meat in order to sustain a diet. We've got the teeth in order to actually break down the meat as well. So I'm a bit in both camps. I don't want to see that, and I don't want to know that that's happening. And if I knew that that was happening to my food, that would shock me into it. So I am in both camps here, my friend. But I do love my meat.
Oh, me too, me too.
You know?
I love the taste of meat.
Right.
But that's the thing, you can get foods now that taste exactly like meat, and the animal doesn't have to be sacrificed for any reason.
Right.
And you're right about we've been doing it for centuries, eons, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
We were hunter-gatherers before, where we had to hunt for our own food in survival situations.
Sure.
But that's our reasoning today, is that we're not in those situations anymore. We have huge variety of food, so an ethical choice would be to choose something that isn't going to harm the animal when we don't need to. Yes, we still do it like we always have been, but now there are so many more options. Just as one example, in the dairy industry, we impregnate the cow so that she produces milk. So the cow goes through a 9-month cycle, just like a normal human woman, 9 months of pregnancy.
Yeah.
And then when she gives birth, we take the baby cow away from their mother. Why do you think we do that?
Why do you think we take
We separate the
Right.
calf from the mother.
Right, okay. Well, you tell me, why do we do that?
That's because the milk is for us.
Sure.
The mother wants to give the milk to her baby,
Sure, yeah.
but humans want the milk, so they have to separate the mother from.
So they're bred for that purpose rather than
Yeah.
just being an open free cow, just being able
Yeah, totally. You'll see all these adverts like happy cows and like free range
Yeah, there's
chickens.
nothing happy about it.
Yeah, exactly,
I know.
you're totally
And
right.
then comes to Christmas, the
Yeah, yeah.
turkeys are all there just
Yeah.
hoping and praying that they're not the next one. No, I get it, mate. I do get it.
yeah.
The industry itself has got a lot of questions about it,
totally.
and people are very asleep about what is going on and the way the food is. And for me, my big bear is GMO and the contaminants within food, whether they be meats or all types of other foods. So, mate, I totally agree with your plight and what you're trying to do. So,
Food for thought, right?
well, it certainly is. What's your name, my friend?
Dan.
Dan? Pleasure to meet you.
Nice
I'm called Phil. I've got a YouTube page called Red Pill Phil. I talk about, various issues. But, I'm just interested. I'm just one who kind of wants to seek out the truth and
Thanks for
interested in
listening.
talking to people, mate. So thank you very much for taking the time out, mate.
Cheers, Phil.
See you later,
Have
mate.
a good day.
Bye-bye. Okay, then. Right. Yeah, it's got some varied points. Can't knock him for that. I'm not a vegan head as such. I do like the meat. I'm not going to deny that, and I don't think anything's going to change that. However, I agree with what I'm saying. With the production line thing that we've got going on now, it's an industry, isn't it? So, but that is another issue. I am not here for that as such, but I just thought I'd have a little look for you guys. Right, I tell you what though. It seems so ironic that these stalls here, some of the smells, there's actually a sausage stall up there, and even though he's talking to me about, what's going on, that freaking sausage still smells good, and I know I'm wrong, and he probably won't like me for saying that, and I didn't want to get in his face about it. The guy's a decent geezer, so fair enough. So we're here at Survivors Matter. I'm back here again, guys, in the middle of Nottingham. Great British cheese. I'll tell you, it looks a very historic town from some of the buildings. It's beautiful. I've actually got some facts. So I tapped in some key facts about this place, which I never knew about before, to be honest with you, and quite enlightening. For all you football fans, the shin pad, what footballers wear, was invented by a player who was from Nottingham, played for Nottingham Forest, and he played for, I think it was not CCC. I think it was in the 1800s. And so there's a couple of other interesting facts, probably bore the life out of you, but...
Back in a minute, Phil.
No worries, lad, no worries. So we're just knocking about, just waiting for things to proceed. Not an absolutely massive turnout, as you can see, but you know what? It's about getting the message out. I'm sorry?
Those poems.
Yes. Well,
You've got them.
I've. Do you want? Have you got the? Have I got your only copy
Yeah.
of it? Right. Okay.
Not book. They want paper.
Right. I've got that in that book. Do you need it now? Yeah.
Right.
Okay. No problem.
I left mine at home. Oh, you're right.
Was it in there? I think it was in there once. Yeah, that's all. Brilliant. So you're all right if the
Yeah,
kid
I just need these.
No problem. Thank you very much. Right.
Anyway, yeah, so.
Right, this lovely lady here is Dawn. Dawn is a survivor, and she's a bit of a literist. She's an author. She's had a book out that she's given me a copy of. It's a book. It's only like a small paperback, so it's not a book that will stifle you if you're not a big reader. It's something that you can read probably within an hour or so, I guess. It's just a series of poems that is describing where she's at and the things that she's gone through. Now, the kind of a modern connotation, a modern context to a poem, and I swear to God, they're powerful, really powerful. At some point, Dawn has said that she will kind of be filmed speaking about it and possibly reciting a couple of poems. So we seem to have another Nanny Robinson in the house, from the looks of it. So, see, should we have a look? Mate, I worked at Nissan for a while. I was slowly losing my identity. What? I have no idea. Was that talking to someone else? Some nice little random conversations going on between commenters. Brilliant. Right, this is a bit of the market. Oh, it's good stuff. I swear to God, it's the worst place you could hold demo because I'm starving. And all these aromas are just hitting me in the face. I'm like the Bisto kid. So it's totally taking my train of thought away. It really is. Walk through. Little walk through, see what's going on. Beautiful foods. Shouldn't be doing this to myself because I'm starving. Oh, look at them. Sorry. Oh, look at this. Right, I'm going. I know, mate, I need to get a butter, but it's not doing me any good, this. I thought it was a good idea. But you know, like them old Warner Brothers cartoons? When you used to get Sylvester the cat that was that hungry that he'd start to have apparitions of people or animals walking past that would look like a chicken. That's what's starting to happen to me now. It's starting to hallucinate, so I need to keep away from there. I need a pair of nose clips like what synchronized swimmers wear, just to stay on track. Because this ain't extreme talking about my belly. I know there's a pub across the road, but I'm trying to be professional, mate. If I go in there, I ain't coming out, am I? Let's face it. Start with something to eat, and then before you know it, I mean, the Man United game's on as well. And I think we're losing as well, but anyway. Great Britain need a copper. Get the kettle on, Great Brit. After 6 coffees, I started shaking someone up here. Jesus. So you can see it's all slowly coming together. Probably started this stream a little bit early, guys, but I kind of couldn't wait. The weather's absolutely gorgeous. You can see, beautiful, bright blue sky. West Ham 2-0. You joking me? Oh, what? So I'm hungry and my team are getting slapped all over the place. This ain't looking good today, guys. Can only get better the way. Always sunny in Nottingham. Well, you know what? It looks bloody gorgeous today. It's a little bit fresh, but it's gorgeous. I'm buzzing. Not brought my sunglasses or anything. The wife left with the sunglasses mistakenly, so you know what? Beautiful. It's like got a whole old historic feel to it. You can see all the buildings. Anyone, you know what I love, guys, and I'm going to try and do this. I try and film a little bit of footage of my journey coming up off the train. So I'm hoping it's not the most relevant footage, but I'm hoping at some point I'm just going to upload a clip that will show from the train the beautiful countryside that I passed on the way up. Like I say, it'll be irrelevant footage, but I'm hoping I can get that together, but it won't be the first upload by any means. All right, Billy. All right, mate, I'm just chatting crap while we're waiting for things to start. Oh, come on, guys. Why? Listen, right. I've got one here who's a Liverpool supporter and one here who's a City supporter. And this one was cheering. And what? See what I mean? I come and support you guys. And you see what you're doing to me? Right, here we go. Danny's on it.
Raising awareness about childhood sexual abuse, the impacts of abuse, and carrying a message by sharing our experience, strength and hope, basically. So if you have been sexually abused, it's like, hang on a minute, how's this guy been through what he's been through, standing up here and talking? There's nothing special about me. I just had support, I spoke out, I broke the silence and got better, basically, through that, through peer support, through identification with other survivors, basically. One of our main aims is prevention. We don't want history repeating itself. We don't want what happened to us happening to future generations. So massive on prevention. And the people who we need to get on board with us are survivors and the general public, because what we want to do, we want to get this topic in the public consciousness. We want the public speaking about these issues. We want people to feel comfortable speaking to their children about personal safety and body safety, and we will not stop until it is talked about, like the Green Cross Code with kids, basically. That's like sort of our part of our mission and part of our mission statement. So that's why we're here today. We're touring the UK and Ireland as a collective. We're gathering people along the way who are joining us, member of the public, other survivors, organisation, standing behind us and being proud to speak out, because what happened to us as young people, as children, was not our fault. We were not to blame for what we went through. And that's part of the other message what we want to carry. We want to encourage survivors to speak out, get support, and start on the healing journey. As cliche as that might sound, childhood sexual abuse ruins people's lives. So I'm going to share a little bit about my experiences. The reason I share my experiences is not, check me out, look what I've done. It's not all about me. But the reason I share my story is so someone can identify with what I'm saying and think, hang on a minute, if he can do it, I can do it. I assure you there is nothing special about me. All I did is met another person who'd been sexually abused after keeping it to himself for like over 20 years, who said, you know what, that happened to me too. And it was like, thank God for that. Now, I don't mean that in a bad sort of twisted way, but it was like a massive weight off my shoulders. So what I'm going to talk about now a little bit is the impact that it had on my life. So from the ages of 5 to 10, I was sexually abused by my grandfather. What that did is it shattered my confidence into a million pieces, basically, and knocked me for 6, smashed all my boundaries and left me really vulnerable. And I felt like, as growing up, that I had that stamped on my head: vulnerable, target, victim, that stuff. I blame myself for what happened, even though I was really young. I didn't have the words to speak about what had happened. I was terrified of what he did to me. I was terrified of what he would do to me. So kind of went along with what he was doing basically, and it became normal what he was doing because it's all I ever knew, to be honest with you. You know, that impacted on my early school life. So as a young person, from being like sort of 5 to 10, running away from home, really disruptive in class, couldn't concentrate, just an absolute nightmare really. My behaviour was off the wall, but what nobody did was exercise professional curiosity. Nobody sat me down and said, Daniel, what is up with you? Why are you behaving like that? Basically, I was just brandished, trying not to swear,
A wrong good.
a wrong basically, yeah. No, so that kind of label stuck with me, but I kind of sort of used that to my advantage and used that as a mask to like sort of hide what was going on and sort of get me through life basically. So as like sort of going into secondary school, you know, I took myself with me and those behaviours came with me, and I was, even though I was bouncing about like you couldn't hurt me and you couldn't touch me, inside I was dying and I was really vulnerable. When I got to 15, a guy befriended me, took me under his wing because my parents weren't about and stuff. Well, my mum wasn't about and my dad was useless. So he became that father figure in my life, basically. Taught me how to drive, befriended me, bought me things, and then started sexually abuse me. Got me on heroin and crack, so by the time I was 15 at school, I had a habit on heroin and crack, so, you know, this guy had me under his control, and I was stuck with him, and that went on from 15 to 21, what he was doing to me. I won't go into specific details because that's not important. It's what was important to me was the damage what it caused to me, you know, and you know, from being 15 to 21, you might think, you know, why didn't you fight him off? Why did you stay there? He had me on drugs. I couldn't leave. I had nowhere else to go, and I thought better to take my chances with him. Better the devil you know than go out into the big wide world. So even though I was like sort of streetwise and stuff, I didn't know what I was doing. Do you know what I mean? It was only through getting locked up at a young age, going to prison and getting involved in the criminal justice system that I got away from him. But I was still on drugs, so my life turned to a life of crime, which include all kinds of things, all sort of like drug related. You know, that went on for many years. You know, I was riddled with anxiety, riddled with depression, suicidal. That's why I carried on taking drugs, because it masked those feelings. It wasn't until I met a drug worker when I was in my late 20s, like sort of coming up to 30, who sat me down and said, Daniel, what is up with you? So from being a young age, from being 5 and displaying these behaviours, these bad behaviours that you call them, you know, nobody picked up on it all through those years. You know, this is why we're big about raising awareness and getting people to exercise professional curiosity. So if you spot these signs and symptoms, or you see somebody off the red, sat in a doorway, in a bedsit, injecting, do you know what I mean? Think, what is behind that? Why is this person behaving like this? I didn't wake up one morning and think, right, I'm going to be a raging junkie today. Do you know what I mean? That wasn't my life ambition. You know, that was a legacy issue that was left over from the abuse, and that's how it impacted me. Which leads on to like sort of the peer support side of things that we do at Survivors Matter. You know, so from meeting that drug worker and him sitting down and asking me, Daniel, what is up with you? And him sharing with me what he'd been through, it was like, thank God for that. I thought it was just me. I never spoke to anybody before who'd been through something similar, because as a man and as a male, you don't talk about this stuff. You know, and the last time I got vulnerable, you know, I got sexually abused. So it's like it was a massive risk for me to take that day, to be honest with you. But that's when things started to get better, and that's when I started to heal, and that's when I started to get on that journey of recovery, and that's one of the main reasons why we're here today. So you know, if you've been sexually abused, or you know someone who has been sexually abused, you know, there is hope. You can pull it together. There's a massive power in speaking out and telling somebody who you trust. You know, and that's how I got on my journey and got better, which led to me, you know, getting training, working in the specialist trauma service, and working for the National Inquiry into Child Abuse as a consultant. Yeah, so I just thought I'd just sharing a bit of my story with you. So there's loads of other people here who are going to speak today. You know, we're in Nottingham because the inquiry's coming. The inquiry's coming to Nottingham starting on Monday at Trent Bridge. Myself and Chris Tuck, who's here today, are part of the Victim and Survivors Consultative Panel, and sorry Phil, and work on something called the Truth Project. So what the Truth Project is, it's a place where you can come and share your experience of what you. Sorry Phil. What? Right, it's a place where you can come and share your experience if you've been sexually abused. Now, it doesn't have to specifically be in a care home. There's been a lot of stuff in the media which might leave you under the impression that it's specifically just for boys and just for men who've been in care. That is not the case. So if you've been a victim of interfamilial abuse, yeah, even if you didn't tell somebody at that time, but there was professionals around you like teachers, people like that, and nobody picked up on it, yeah, there has been an institutional failing there. So you can come to the Truth Project, share your experience, and what your experience will do, and recommendations that you make will go on to inform decisions that are passed to government to make recommendations to keep children safe in the future, basically. When you come to the Truth Project, as we helped design the Truth Project, but I've been through the Truth Project myself. You do not have to go into specific detail about what has happened to you. You can just talk about how you were failed and how you'd like things to change. So basically, just go on Google and Google ICSA, Independent Inquiry into Childhood Sexual Abuse, and the Truth Project's on there. Type in Truth Project on Facebook and there'll be a page there as well. Right, I'm going to hand over to Chris now. Sorry, I'm gonna hand over to Chris now, who's going to speak. Chris.
Thank you, Daniel. Give him a clap. Thank you very much. So, I'm not as good as Danny. I need notes, I'm afraid, and I also need someone to hold this for me.
You're still amazing.
Right, so why are we here today? You're going to hear a lot about why we're here today. We are here to empower and support victims and survivors who live in the local community to find their voices and speak their truth. We are here to raise awareness of the prevalence of child sexual abuse and its impact on the victim and survivor, the family, the community, the public purse, the general public at large. On Monday, as Dan said, 1st of October, ICSA are arriving in Nottingham to start the public hearing within the sexual abuse that happened within care homes within Nottingham and Nottinghamshire. However, as Dan said, it's not all about just the care homes. This is about children that suffered sexual abuse within their family, within their school, within their local club. Abuse happens everywhere, it happens in every single institution, and we are here to raise awareness of where it takes place, who the perpetrator might look like, and the impact on victims and survivors nationwide. Now, as I said, the public hearing that's happening on Monday in Nottingham, not every survivor will have the opportunity to take part in a public hearing, but every survivor around the country has an opportunity to take part in the Truth Project. If you have suffered child sexual abuse by a family member or someone known to the family, or someone at a club you may go to, or by someone at your place of worship, or by a professional who were meant to be looking after you, like being in a care home, you can have your say. Survivors come forwards to have their voices heard, to raise awareness of what happened to them and how they were failed by institutions that should have protected them. To make sure sexual abuse and the way forward is to respond to it differently than what we have responded to in the past. Collectively, we can make changes to make it harder for perpetrators of child sexual abuse to carry out their vile acts. Education, children, professionals and the public, we all need educating. Raising awareness of the impact on mental and physical health and the lives of victims and survivors and the family unit. By changing policies, processes, legislation to better protect children and the responses to child sexual abuse. By increasing prosecution rates and giving longer sentences. We are here because survivors matter. It's important that survivors share their lived experiences if they are able to, because with each voice, with each lived experience, we build a better picture of the scale and the scope of child sexual abuse, not just here in Nottingham, but nationwide, in the UK and in Wales. How many people have been affected? How are we impacted? What recommendations are needed for change? Now, ICSA are gathering this information through their public hearings, through the Truth Project and through the Research Project. Recommendations will be made based on the voices of victims and survivors of child sexual abuse. But it remains to be seen what the government actually do with those recommendations. And us survivors are calling for these recommendations, that our voices that have been added to are actually implemented and that people are being made accountable. Institutions are going to be made accountable. So that's my intro, but Danny wanted me to talk about some myths. So I'm going to ask Danny to hand me, he's not even concentrating, hand me myth one. Myth one, please. So, myth one, child sexual abuse is not prevalent. This is a myth, a massive myth. No one truly knows the scale or scope of child sexual abuse from all the combined sources. Many people have got their heads in their sand or up their backsides. Society, government and many professionals are in denial that we have a public health crisis on our hands. Child sexual abuse, child sexual exploitation, peer-on-peer abuse, online child sexual abuse from gaming, human trafficking, child farming. It's there, it's prevalent, and we need to actually do something about it. Myth two, coming from my lovely helper, Dan. It should just be on the top, Dan. Give it to me. Child sexual abuse only happens in certain places. Child sexual abuse can happen anywhere. In the place of worship, in a school, whether it be state, private, boarding school, a free school or a reform school, in care homes, in emergency services, by policemen, by doctors, by surgeons, in after-school clubs, music, scouts, sports, in military training camps, in organised networks in the local community, online gaming and online grooming. Most CSA takes place within the family home, however. Some stats do suggest up to 80% of all child sexual abuse takes place in the family home. And this is why it's really important that survivors know that they can come forwards if it takes place within the family home and they haven't had the right response to this. Myth three, CSA only happens to certain people, i.e. in low economic and low educated families. CSA can happen to anyone, no one is exempt. All faiths, all religions, all classes, all backgrounds, all ethnicities. But in my experience, CSA will happen to the most vulnerable children, wherever those vulnerable children may be. CSA myth 4 is only perpetrated by certain types of offender. Stranger danger. The shifty man in the long range mag. Absolutely a myth. Sexual offenders can be of any age, any nationality, any race or religion, any walk of life, male or female. 85% of abuse is committed by someone known to the victim. That comes from the Child Matters website. Myth 5. The impact of CSA is widely understood. It's not. The impact of CSA is not widely understood. And this impacts a victim and survivor's ability to disclose. Victim and survivors often visit their GP with many symptoms over years, but they never dot the I's and cross the T's and understand the root cause of their symptoms. The root cause of their symptoms is the child sexual abuse that they've suffered, that they've endured, and the fact that they've not been able to speak up about it keeps them in their ill health.
Just watch yourself, Linda.
When we feel vulnerable, we may be triggered. We may be triggered in all sorts of ways. When we have health appointments, for example, as a female, we might get triggered when we have smear tests. We may be triggered when we have babies. We may be triggered when we have to go to the dentist. Triggers can happen in any shape or any form. Some victims and survivors do not have the language to explain what has happened to them or explain why they've been triggered and what's caused the trigger. But what we do need as victims and survivors, we need to be believed. We need to be able to trust a safe person to disclose what has happened to us. We deserve and we need the right specialist support, and that is oversubscribed in many areas of the UK and Wales, and as I said, oversubscribed and underfunded. Myth 6. It's happened in the past, just get over it. They were young, they will forget it. Tosh, 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 yeah? Just because it happened in the past, for a victim and survivor, their trauma that they carry with them can trigger them right in the present moment, yeah? It happened when they were young, they will forget it. They don't forget it. The body keeps the score. There is a book written on it, the body keeps the score. And if anyone's in any doubt about the impact of child sexual abuse, please check out the rapid evidence assessment that the inquiry did about the impact of childhood abuse. Please check out the ACE studies, which is the adverse childhood experience that Dr. Nadine Burke has written and has preached about for the last 20 years. The actual impact of child sexual abuse on mental and physical health can cause some victims and survivors to revert to drugs and alcohol, substance misuse, feeling suicidal, being homeless. The actual impact of child sexual abuse is absolutely immense and can impact families for generations. And this is what I'm standing here today about. It's about breaking the cycle of actually acknowledging that child sexual abuse happens in every single town around the country. It happens in every single institution around the country. And until we acknowledge that is prevalent, until we start acknowledging the mental and physical impact of child sexual abuse,
There again.
we will not be able to find the proper solutions that we need in order to give victims and survivors the specialist help that they deserve. Now, according to the Violence, Abuse and Mental Health in England 2014, a quarter of our population has experienced violence and abuse. A quarter, 1 in 4, 25%. How else can I say this? Now, I think I'm going to end there because there's lots of people that want to speak and there's lots of myths I can share with you. I've written this up and I'll share it on Facebook later for any of you to download, okay? I think you've got the gist of how prevalent CSA is, what the impact it can be on mental and physical health. So I'm now going to hand over, I'm going to hand over to Danny. Thank you, everyone.
Well done. Well done.
Thank you, Chris. So Chris has travelled all the way up from London today from the charity Survivors of Abuse. So if you're out there and you're listening, all this stuff what we're talking about is relevant to you. You've obviously been a child yourself, you'll have kids in your family, yeah? What we're doing today is raising awareness, talking about prevention stuff, talking about spotting signs and symptoms in children that are being sexually abused. So next up we've got Louise. So Louise is from Shatter Girls. Louise is from Nottingham. Louise is doing CSE work currently in Nottingham. So it's just about to launch officially. So come on, Louise.
Hey, steady there, Dan. Like, I'm going to do this myself because I want it dropping on there. Right. So, Nottingham, you know my face. A lot of you know me through other means, like music, but I'm actually here today to use a microphone to raise awareness on sexual abuse. A lot of people who was around me growing up will recognise me, will know that I was a certain way, and there's all that stigma and bullcrap. But for me, I'm not going to address the failings of the institutions or the police, even though I've been through them experiences. I'm going to address the failings of my community, because I believe that at the time, there was a lot of people that may have seen a few things, may have noticed a few things, and they've kept it quiet. I don't know, I'm not a psychologist, so I can't ever really understand why these things, I mean, I see them today, and these are my triggers. In a community where I work right now, there is a number of children that have disclosed a number of sexual abuses and assaults that they've received. They're 13, they're 14, and a lot of the community where I lived, I made this aware to them. I made it aware to you, those who are listening. I made it aware about a certain person that was going around sexually exploiting these children, and I watched a community of them just turn a blind eye, where I ran around looking like a mad hatter, which for me made me think about when I was a kid. How many people seen this going off? How many people knew in the communities, in the family homes? That's another thing, because there's certain things that you can look into, like Stockholm syndrome. I believe that may have taken place in certain households, in certain communities. Again, like I said, I'm not here to blame the system till I get to 26, but I do have a big message to family, the ones that make the child feel like they have to keep their mouth shut. The family members that think that us speaking up is ruining a family member's situation. Those that defend the paedophile, the husbands that are married to these wives, these aunties, again, I have nothing for them other than to say that they're more part of the problem than the solution. And everything that paedophile does, the perpetrating that he does, the abuse that he causes, the effects afterwards, they're alive in this city. And people are turning a blind eye to why there's all sorts of madness. There's just a root problem to certain things, and I think if injustices can go back 4 decades in this city and nobody can address it and go, oh, why is this person on drugs? Why are they all running around acting crazy today? The parents, I'm one of these parents that's had a situation right now where I'm not going to go into, but I will say that I also have a problem with knife crime and gun crime in this city. And I believe that there's a root cause to it. And I believe that there's a lot of other hidden things behind it. And again, in my area, the sexual exploitation was going off with drugs. And that was a problem for me. Young girls was being sold weed from dealers, and it was a problem. And I don't have a problem saying this. The person was convicted. He knows where I live. I've had to deal with the threats. It's not a problem to me. It's not a problem. The police are there to support us to a certain point and safeguard us. So I'll use that. But at the same time, again, and you know what I'll do as well? I'll be honest with you, I didn't come here with a plan of what I was going to say. I kind of just thought, I'll let whatever comes out of my mouth. Normally I'd do it in a song, but I've never actually done a song about my own abuse. That's because I've not been really focused on that. I've been focused on trying to change it and prevent it. So this is why I've got into meeting these fabulous people like Dan here. He's not even from Nottingham, but he gave me the support that I needed because I wasn't getting it from my community. The youth support, the workers that where I am in Snenton, in St Anne's, we're not getting the support from the youth workers. The support that you get for knife crime and gun crime, the funding they're getting it, I'm seeing it, but I ain't getting nothing and no guidance, no help from trying to set up stuff for sexual exploitation. There's a lot of egotistical people out here that are riding off the backbone of people's abusers and people's drug issues and their criminal activities. So every time someone commits a crime, even the schools are an issue. They've not supported me with 11 children that I had that was coming up to me talking about abuse they'd suffered. There was no support from the school. These academies can be a problem, but it's about us as a community that's going to have to pull together, that's going to have to come together and support each other. Those that don't, I can only say, you're just leaking in the same pot as the perpetrator, the paedophile. You don't want to see change. You want to see more mass destruction. And for me, it's the mental war that's a problem. From when people go through things, it's not addressed. It will have adverse effects. There will be side effects. It's not just drugs. People are out there highly sexualized. Kids these days, the things I'm hearing out of children's mouths, it is not pretty. It's not pretty. If you people talk to your parents talk to your children when they come home from school. Ask them what's going off in the playground. I have had kids disclose all sorts of information to me, and when I go to the school, they have nothing for me. They have nothing for me. I've been banned from school premises for being over emotional and crying at school gates and stuff like that, trying to remove perpetrators who sexually assaulted children. They have a problem with me being there. I don't mind what the problem is. I'll always go back. I'll climb fences if I have to. They know this about me. My problem is, again, community, parents, please speak to your children. Don't, please. I'm tired of hearing, we was like that when we was kids. Oh, what, getting pissed on the park? I wasn't. I got drunk once, not on a regular. When I think back to them people, and no disrespect to certain people, because I love everybody that I care about, you know who I love. But I know there's root issues to certain issues, and drinking doesn't come from nowhere. Being a drug addict doesn't come from nowhere. Acting up in school, being violent and aggressive, it don't come from nowhere. You don't just wake up one day, decide to go to school and have a shit day. You don't avoid school for the sake of it. It's an education. I loved school, I didn't have a problem. I loved home. My life growing up was absolutely amazing. Anybody in Nottingham that knows me know that I was a lad kid. I used to cuss for the library bus as well. Where's the library bus? I got lines given to me for swearing. Certain parents knew I had a bit of a mouth that I shouldn't have had. But at the same time, as a community, I'm just going to keep saying it. We need to pull together. None of this, in fact, that's a cliche. We need to sort this. And I know we weren't allowed to swear, but it's really hard. Like, that's what's thrown me off track. I'm not even trying to swear. It's just SHIT and stuff like that. But I'm getting all a bit stressed now as well. It's my first time doing this.
Doing a good job.
Thank you very much. But again, I'm just really anxious. I feel like I don't want these guys that have came from Telford, Manchester, Rochdale, London. I don't want them to come here and this be a waste of time, because I'm actually disgusted that Nottingham, this is what we have representing. My big bushy head and my mouth again. I'm getting a bit tired of it. And when the police are coming to me and bothering me about stuff, and I'm having to tell them about their job, it's not a good look. I'm becoming a nuisance in my own city, and all I'm trying to do is help people. And like they've said before, it's got no class, no colour, no creed, sexual abuse, child abuse, domestic violence, the whole lot. It's starting from 13 years old. Kids are reporting domestic violence at like 14. Yeah, so what's going on with these children? Why are these children so aggressive? Why? I don't know why. Got a few, ideas of my own, but I'm not a psychologist. I'm not, qualified. I'm not a child psychologist. I've been a child, so I think I've got a clue what it's like to be one. And I've been through certain things. I've watched other people go through certain things, and I've watched their side effects. So not just noticing my own triggers, I know what triggers off other people. So again, Nottingham, I can't, this is why sometimes I wish I was here to do music, because that's what's people start looking, and I'm seeing people. Hi there, hi, ladies, see this, I have to go into entertainment mode. Hello, people, yeah. This is my problem, look.
Yeah.
I came to Nottingham, I live in Nottingham. I was in Nottingham a few months back. You had an event on the 29th of July, Speaker's Corner, and I was down here giving out flyers. It was very hard when people was turning away and saying, oh, they didn't want it. And I was like, it's about child abuse and that, they didn't want it. I was shoving them flyers in people's pockets. Even if they didn't take it, I chased them down, convinced a couple of people and took it. It was very hard work. I don't know how many people can turn away from this kind of issue. And like, I know everybody's busy, but busy doing what? We're walking around town shopping, eating. Yeah, I've got 5 minutes to stand, and I will appreciate these group of people, if we could see them, are actually here to speak. Yeah, it's really bad. So I think, again, this is a first step for me, but I am going to tell you, Dan, that after this, we're going to do it with bells and shit. I'm sorry, I'm done, Chris. I'm sorry, baby.
Where's the swear jar?
I'm sorry. Oh gosh, I'm going to get lines later. But no, I am. I think... There we go, look.
There's the bells.
We won't go into all sorts of theories, but what's that about then? Yeah, I want bells, we're getting bells. Couldn't have timed that better. I think I've rambled on enough. I have. That's the kind of thing I think I can, that's energy. I love it.
Pigeons are dropping the rest.
Yeah, well, I hope so. I hope so. Sign a good look and all that. But no, seriously.
Proper bell.
Wait! But no, seriously, I do. I think for Nottingham, you lot like it where there's lights and dancing and singing and all nuisances going off. So I think we're going to take that approach. We're going to infiltrate into the industry of entertainment. Yes, I like that. You know what? We're going to do that. I used to organise Nottingham Festival. It's now going to be what? CSE Carnival. Are we ready for this one?
Yeah.
We're going to. That's easy for me. We have a big tune that we're going to make sure that's going to be the pusher. Yeah. I'm going to finish talking. I'm done. I've rambled to the done. I've showed my face. I've loved it, and I'll be back. And yeah, thank you, people.
Well done.
Please.
Well done. Well done.
Just before we start off, Phil's up next and voicing CSA. Just a message to the trolls, because the thing is, we use social media because we can magnify and multiply what we're talking about by thousands. Do you know what I mean? This is why we use social media. So those trolls who are currently jumping on the Facebook, making your snidey comments, saying whatever, basically sling it. We're here to raise awareness. It's important what we're talking about. If this message gets just to one person speaks out, it's something positive. People who are talking today, they're nervous, they're in the city centre. If people are laughing or giggling, it's not because they find this issue funny, yeah? It's because they're nervous, because they're full of anxiety, because they're talking about a subject that's so close to the heart. So sling your business. Next up is Phil from Voicing CSA.
Sling your business, I'm liking that. Get that on a t-shirt.
Thanks, Danny. And, well, hello.
Come on, get your shoebox, stand up.
Shoebox, yeah.
It's a lower mill.
Well, my name is Phil Lafferty, as I said, and I run an organisation called Voicing CSA. Now, when I started campaigning and fighting child exploitation and abuse in the UK, little did I realise that the level of abuse suffered by children would be so deeply ingrained in society. Little did we know that the cover-ups and protection of paedophiles in places of such repute and high regard would be so widespread. But it is. And for the first time in history, those children abused are gathering momentum and speaking out. And we must continue to do so as well. Now the investigation into institutional abuse in care homes begins on Monday in Nottingham City and Nottinghamshire County Councils. This includes the appropriateness of the councils, law enforcement agencies, prosecuting authorities and other public authorities to reports of child sexual abuse involving children covered for and by the councils, and all reports of child sexual abuse who are employed or contracted by the councils. There is a roll call of honour of survivors and supporters in Nottingham that have fought long and hard. I will not name them in fear of missing someone out, But the names are out there, and I hope once the inquiry publishes its findings that they are publicly recognised for what they have achieved in Nottingham. And let us remember for a moment the homes which include Beechwood, where a patron of Voices CSA suffered abuse, and that is Samantha Morton, the actress. So the roll call that the inquiry is looking into: Amberdale in Stapleford, Ashley House, Worksop, Beechwood Complex, Mapperley, made up of Lindens, Redcott, Endersley and Woodgrove Road, Beverly Hill Open Air School, Mansfield, Bracken House or Crabtree Farm, Bulwell, Brick House, Radcliffe-on-Trent, Caldwell House, Southall, Cobblestones, St Anne's, Forest Lodge, Hyson Green and Forest Fields, Greencroft or Lee's Children Home in Clifton, Hazelwood, Forest Fields, Laybrook, Somerset Street, Ranskill Gardens, which became farmlands in Top Valley, Red Tiles, which became Beckhampton Road, Bestwood Park, Repton Lodge in Worksop, The Ridge in Mansfield, Risley Hall in Risley, Skegney Hall, Sutton in Confield, Ashfield, South Collingham Hall, Newark, Sycamore House, Sherwood, Willerton House or Radford Bridge Road, Willerton, Woodnook, also known as Beechdale Road, also known as Lady Bay, Nottingham, Woodlard Lane, also known as Cherry Orchard, Nottingham, and Wotton Young Offenders Institute in Wotton. Now the time has taken me to read that out. All of those places did not involve the abuse of one child, but many. You think about the numbers of the homes that I've read out there that have been operating in Nottingham and Nottinghamshire County for decades. You imagine the amount of trauma, distress and sexual abuse and exploitation that has gone on in those places. That is why the independent inquiry into child sexual abuse is in Nottingham, because of the fight that the people in Nottingham put, because of the fight that children who suffered sexual abuse grew up into adulthood and decided to fight. And that kind of fight and strength is prevalent all over the country. And all of the institutions, and yet we know this is the tip of the iceberg of child sexual abuse in Nottinghamshire. The inquiry is still interested in you, as Danny said. Just because the inquiry is going ahead, if you suffered abuse in any of these children's homes, you can still get in contact with the inquiry through the ICSA website. You can speak to any of the survivor groups that operate on the internet, because we'll signpost you to the right place. And if you really are struggling and all that, then you can just give it a little time, get in touch with anybody. And also, you can also report it to the police, because the police are interested in what happened to you. They are interested in fighting for your justice today. Now, you do not have to have been abused by an institution. You do not have to have been abused by a doctor or nurse or a teacher or anything. But if you tried to report it to any of these people at any time in your life over the last 50 years, 60 years even, then you can be heard, you can speak out. And so please, if you were, then I would hope that you will do. Now come on to the last point that I wish to make. We're just approaching October, and shortly after that we'll be in November, and on November the 11th we have the big parades and everything, Poppy Day for those who died in the wars, and we have in every town and city throughout the country a war memorial for the braveness of those soldiers who died for our rights, our freedoms to speak out. And here we are today with that right and that freedom to speak out. But what happens after the inquiry is over? What happens after the inquiry is done? What I don't want to happen is that it's all brushed back under the carpet and that the abuse will carry on in other ways and other means. What we need is a reminder in towns and cities that are affected by child sexual abuse, a reminder. Now, all of the councils and all the institutions and all that have covered up abuse over all this time. It's time for you to start coughing up and put some kind of memorial in your areas where a child abuse took place. It's time that people remember that abuse happened and is still happening. It's time to remember that those people need reminding constantly that it does happen, because the more children are born, the more abuse will continue to happen. And we need to be reminded that it is happening in your towns and cities. So why not have something in the middle of the square that reminds people that child sexual abuse happened here? Why not remind them with a memorial in the middle of the square that child sexual exploitation took place of children who were ignored and neglected? And that's it. I can't stress it strongly enough that there should be statues to remind people of the abuse that has gone on in this country. And I think the biggest one should be on the 4th plinth in Trafalgar Square, so that everybody from Whitehall to visitors to this country and nation will be reminded that abuse went on and is still going on. So that's all I have to say, and I'll get back to filming.
Well done, mate. Well done.
Thank you very much, Phil. So next up is a good friend of mine who I'm really proud to know. So Mike, do you want to step up next, mate? Say a few words.
Go on, Mike.
Yes, people. Alright, so firstly I want to introduce myself. So my name's Mike. I'm the founder of a paedophile hunting team called Dark Light, one of the founders. Obviously, with what we're trying to achieve here today, it's about people speaking out, and speaking up against child sexual abuse. And that was kind of my view on things when I started Dark Light. The intention was to try and get a captive audience of people that were aware as to what was going on. As a survivor myself, it's been a long, drawn-out journey to be able to get to where I am today, to be able to stand in front of people and say that I am a survivor and it doesn't define me. And in essence, it has, thank you, in essence it has brought out a lot for me, and it's put me in a place where not only are we now doing a national campaign to highlight child sex exploitation and child sexual abuse, but we're also in a position to help survivors and to reach out to survivors. And that's the most important thing out of everything that we're doing, because there are people out there, like Dan said earlier on, there are people out there that are in bed sits, or people out there with drug issues, or people out there that have got, you know, massive issues that have affected them post-abuse, and these issues have never been dealt with. And that's an issue for me and for every one of the founders of Survivors Matters. Now, obviously, in the public eye, paedophile hunters are frowned upon, massively frowned upon, and I can't understand the stigma around that. As a paedophile hunter, or retiring paedophile hunter, we've had a really good success. We've put considerable amount of people into prison. We've highlighted offenders that are re-offenders, which is something that, you know, obviously the probation service and MAPA need to look at. But it's massively frowned upon, and that's where the problem lies. So I on month 3 of me starting Dark Light, I realised that there needed to be a bigger, can't think of the word, a bigger example of what we can do going forward. So on month 3 of Dark Light starting, I set in place the paperwork to set up what's known now as the Dark Light Foundation, which is one of the founding members of Survivors Matter. The Dark Light Foundation is aimed solely at helping, assisting and signposting survivors to the right services that they need. You know, it's frequent. If you go to the doctors and you say, oh, you know, things happen when I was a kid, they'll throw a tablet at you and they'll say, take the tablet every day, you'll feel fine. But really it masks the problem. It doesn't deal with the problem hand on. I'm now 8 weeks into not taking any tablets and I've never felt better in my life. I'm empowered. You know what I'm saying, it's not about taking tablets, it's not about taking drugs, it's not about using something to mask it when you can actually stand up, be heard, and deal with the problem hand on. And that's what Survivors Matters is about. It's about taking people out of these bed sits. It's about taking people away from the problems that I say problems like, drink and drugs. They've used that to mask the problem right the way back. And if you track it back, the drugs and the abuse and everything all interlinks into one. So that's kind of what we're doing at Survivors Matters. We want to make sure that we're empowering survivors. That's the biggest thing that I can put out there, is we want to empower every single survivor. If you are a survivor, contact us, because we can signpost you to the right people. We can put you in touch with the right people that are then going to lead on to you being empowered. And that's part of a bigger picture, and that's what we want to do. So that's that. Now, I've been asked by Dan, obviously, to cover a little bit of online awareness, because social media these days is prevalent. It's all over the place. There's loads of different apps, and like Chris, I can't just wing it off the top of my head, so I've wrote a few things down. Obviously, social media is huge. Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, all of these platforms are there for children to use. I can tell you now that as a paedophile hunter, we have found people on Facebook, we have found people on Instagram, we have found people on Snapchat that are grooming real live children, not just decoys, but real children. And as parents, the one thing the one message I want to push is building yourself a network of awareness. Make yourself aware of what's going on. Aware of the child abuse, rape. That's not something that's new, but online grooming is something that's new, because it used to be offenders or abusers, if that's what you want to call them, used to do it close at hand before the social media boom. Now people can sit on Facebook and be whoever they want to be. It can be that, what is a 15-year-old boy talking to a 14-year-old girl is actually a 40-year-old man hiding behind the computer. And this is where the problem lies. We've dealt with real life cases of children being groomed. Children as young as 11 being groomed, and it's not that the parents are doing anything wrong, it's just that with the boom of social media and the way social media looks and all the various different colourful platforms that are available, it makes it difficult to keep children away from that, especially when children have devices. So there's loads of different things. I mean, if you see this and your child has a device and your child uses things like Snapchat and Instagram and Facebook, have a conversation with your children. Speak to your children about stranger danger, like was mentioned earlier. Speak to your children about the dangers of online grooming. Speak to your children about who they're speaking to. Have a conversation with your children. Be aware of what the trending apps are. Speak to them, like was mentioned by Louise. Speak to them about what's going on in the playground. Speak to them about what's going on in their peer circle, the kind of pressures that they deal with. But at the same time, don't see this as me trying to tell you how to be a parent, because this is something that's new to all of us. We're all learning. This is a massive learning curve for everyone that's involved in this. There are a few things that you can do. Obviously, have transparency with your children, and that's not me trying to tell you how to parent your children, but have transparency. Treat your children with the utmost respect, because shouting at them and being strict and bossy is only going to make them rebel against you further. Build a safe place for them. So if something's going on in their life or they're being pressured online, make it so that your kids can come and speak to you. Have a conversation with your kids about who they're speaking to online, the kind of people they're involved with, the kind of apps they're on. Pay an interest. This is what I find is the biggest thing. If you pay an interest in what your kids are doing and you have a friendly one-to-one with them, like I had a lady the other day, she came to me and she'd found that her daughter had been sent, she'd sent a semi-nude picture, 12 years old, and she said to me, Mike, what can I do? What can I do to stop this happening? And I just said to her, all you need to do is just sit down, don't be shouty, sit down, you and her, and have a conversation with her. And just say, look, are you aware of the things that are going on online? The schools I don't feel personally, schools or the NSPCC or COP, I don't feel like all these people that are meant to be doing something are doing it in the right way, because it's all about money, and it shouldn't be anything to do with money. It should be about putting kids at the front of the line to receive knowledge, because if you're not going to give kids knowledge and understanding about what's going on, then you're letting them go out into the world, a virtual world, with not a chance. So there's certain things you can do. If you go onto Google and you type in social media parents guide, I know the NSPCC and O2 have teamed up and they've got something on their website, whereas you can actually speak to someone direct about online safety. And online safety is a massive thing because there's loads of kids online, there's loads of kids with devices. So, you know, doing that and having a look at that is a good thing. Also, if you type in online safety for Snapchat or online safety for Instagram or Facebook or any of the major apps, there'll be a step-by-step guide as to how you can lock your child's devices down and how you can make sure that your child isn't able to be contacted by predators online, because there are predators online, which takes me on to the reoffender side of things. We've caught people online grooming what they believe to be children who are reoffenders, and I'm not talking just a reoffender that's been caught with some indecent images. I'm talking about reoffenders who have actually committed contact offences on live children, rape children, sexually abused children, and the process continues. These people are abusing children, they go into the system, they come out the other side after being in jail, and there's nothing. They've not done anything. You know, we've got information where probation have failed, and it's been more of a tick the box exercise as opposed to dealing with the issues head on. So when it comes to reoffenders, these people are out there and these people are online and these people are actively seeking children to abuse. Now, I don't know about anybody else here, but I don't want my kids to be abused online. I don't want my kids to be groomed and met and then end up meeting someone and something bad happening to them. So it's about arming your kids with as much knowledge as possible. It is a taboo subject. Pay an interest, be transparent with them. You know, children will always rebel if you turn into a shouty parent. That's one thing I've learned. And it's just not the way forward. You know, it's about protecting our children, making the best children, and making sure that children are safe online. That's the biggest thing. So guys, I'm going to hand you back over to Dan, and yeah, that's that.
Well
yeah,
done,
so
mate.
just to
Well
pick up
done.
on something else, you know, Dark Light's had a lot of shit media, to be quite honest with you, and it really annoys me, it really pisses me off, to be honest with you. The man's caught 70 perpetrators with 100% conviction rate. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that could have been one of your kids. So when people put crap in the newspaper, yeah, I know how Mike operates, yeah, how he operates at Dark Light, yeah, and he operates with integrity, yeah. He deals with the situation the best he can, which is in front of him, which is a really difficult job with the stuff what has been doing. Plus, as he's just said, he's a survivor as well, yeah. Nobody takes that stuff into account when they try and slate him in the papers, yeah, like they did in the Times a couple of weeks ago, trying to link us together like we're doing something bad, yeah. Let me tell you what we're doing as Survivors Matter and coming together as a collective and sharing all our skills, yeah. We've set up a peer support service which launches, yeah, in Rochdale on the 9th, yeah, which will be running on a fortnightly basis. Male survivors of childhood sexual abuse, yeah, who have nobody to talk to, yeah. So, you know, is it any surprise that Mike set up Dark Light as one of the founder members, yeah? If he's not had counselling or therapy, yeah, and a lot of these hunters, yeah, what do you do with that stuff, yeah? Where do you take that stuff, yeah? To me, a logical flipping line of thinking is, let's hunt paedophiles, expose them, get them arrested, so kids don't have to go through what they went through, what Mike went through, yeah? So how dare people slag someone off, yeah, who's doing something correctly, yeah, and doing the best he can, yeah? Lo and behold, yeah, what Mike's done, yeah, sorry for putting you on the spot here, Mike, but it needs to be said, yeah, what Mike's done is evolved, yeah, he's seen a need, yeah, paedophiles need taken off the streets, yeah, he's set up Dark Light, He's addressed it the best he could, yeah. He's done his bit, yeah. He's took loads of people off the street, so it's like, right, what is next? What can we do next? What about the victims of these people? What about the vulnerable adult victims of these people? So what we've done is, collectively, with all our skills, yeah, is we've set up Survivors Matters and set up a peer support service, yeah. So people, yeah, who've been through what we have been through, yeah, can see a light at the end of the tunnel by using our experiences as a vehicle of sending a message of hope. How can you knock that stuff? Do you know what I mean? So I just had to throw that in there, Mike. So thanks, Mike, for coming up. Thanks for everything you do. Thanks for the work you've done. Thanks for taking these people off the street and acting where the police have failed, where the police have not stepped up. Yeah? Thank you, Mike. So for lads in there, yeah, who've been ignored, missed, not been believed, yeah, physical abuse and sexual abuse, because let's not discount, yeah, the physical abuse that's gone on in these homes. It is a traumatic experience as a young person being beaten black and blue by an adult who was supposed to be caring about you. So Linda, do you want to come up and say a few words?
I wasn't going to speak today, but it was something that Philip said when he rhymed off all the names of those children's homes. I thought of my son in a school with all these peers, and I thought, how many more kids? So I thought it was my duty to just say something that they do need looking at, all these places. And good luck to the ICSA, because the ICSA found that there was no cover-up in Rochdale. I've got proof of documents that I can prove there was a cover-up in Rochdale. And since my last speech in Rochdale, I've had a phone call from the police to tell me that they're watching me on Red Pill Phil's YouTube, because I might share information that they don't want me to share. I think I know too much. So they are now sort of trying to intimidate me, because they're watching me. They're watching what I say. And they've let me know that they're watching what I'm saying. So I'm just telling them now, because they're watching this. Simon Murphy of Operation Jaguar. I hope you're watching, and I'll tell you now that I will not be intimidated, and I will not keep quiet.
Go on, Linda.
Yeah, that's all. That's all I want to say.
Thank you, Linda.
Operation Garfield.
So next up we've got Anthony. So Anthony's come all the way from Telford today. To share with you what he's up to. Anthony, get back over here. So Anthony's from the National Anti-Grooming Alliance helpline, and he'll talk a little bit about what he does over in Telford, and the model that Anthony's using is going to be replicated in other towns as well. So as Survivors Matters, what we're doing is we're coming to towns, we're getting about as best we can, do you know what I mean, with who we've got.
Cheers, Paul. First off, just to score, West Ham 3, Man United 1.
Oh, come on, mate. No need. No need. I'm going. Stream over, guys. I'm off. No need, mate.
Right, yeah. So as Dan just said, my name's Anthony. I'm from. I run a group called Telford Nagger, and we're part of a nationwide coalition, so to speak, called Nagger. And I'm also part of the Survivors Matter family, which is a great privilege. It is. Anyway, so yeah, the reason I got set up in Telford is pretty much like Rochdale, Rotherham, and other areas. There's been a pretty huge child sexual exploitation epidemic involving grooming gangs, which got me involved in it. But then, as the more you get involved, the more you open your mind to, and then you see the other areas of abuse across all formats, whether it be online, whether it be within the family. It's across the board, and you start, the cases coming into us, they are across the board. And I mean, obviously, and reading again about what's happened here in Nottingham, we've all discussed before, the Beechwood Home and all the other institutions around Nottingham where children have been systematically abused, and this is no different all up and down the country. So what in Telford, like what we've got set up, it's a bit of prevention and support. We use it as a community watch type thing, a neighbourhood watch, where people, if they see anything, we will then take it to the police. We will then obviously investigate things, take it to the police, and we're getting so many cases. I think we've probably had nearly 50 cases in about a month. And and we're working, helping survivors and working with the survivors group. Now, I'm not going to stand here and talk loads because I'm not a survivor myself, and I feel a bit of a fraud sometimes speaking to such amazing people here. But the one thing I do like to reiterate is the child abuse. You've got one comparison I always make is if you've got with robberies, you have your car robberies, your house robberies, your street theft, so many different ones, and child abuse is no different. You've got your online predators, you've got the family beef, you've got the regular paedophiles, sorry to use a term, but then you've also got the grooming gangs. But the thing is, the proportions of these, they are all varied. Some of them are majority white British, but then the grooming gang epidemic is predominantly a Pakistani problem. Now, this isn't me saying that's all the community, far from it, I'm not about that, but I just want to reiterate the fact that we need to address every single category of paedophilia, of child abuse, in order to actually tackle it. We can't put them all together and tackle them all at once. You have to separate each category, and I think that's just one thing that the police still do not recognise. So like we said, we're growing. We just found out this week we're going to be setting up a one in Worcester. We've got one set up in Sunderland, and we're going to take it around the country, and we're trying to help people. We're trying to make a change. And in Telford, it's a huge difference already, and we're already seeing the community getting behind us, and it's something that we haven't seen before. And with the Survivors Matter family as well, I'm just, like I said before, privileged to be part of it. Like I said, we want the people in authorities to start protecting children. For so many years have been neglected, and there's no point pointing fingers at with Survivors Matters and with all the affiliated groups, we are doing that. So that's it.
Well done, mate. Well done.
Nice one, thanks, Anthony. So next up we've got Billy, another good friend from Parents Against Grooming UK, based over in Rochdale. So he's going to talk a little about. No, he's not. Anthony's back.
All right.
My fault. I got carried away then.
Do my speech as well.
No, you do yours. Yeah, I forgot to the football score again. No. No. I just want to be given this poem to read out from Dawn Bland. She does some amazing work, survived herself. So I just wanted to just quickly read this out. It's called Will You? Will you respect our right to stand up and speak out? See that there is nothing to fear. Come walk with us. Brothers and sisters, will you see that we are survivors? All of us, we have the daily struggles. Let's not make them such a trial. Will you see our justice system is wrong, failing so many of us survivors? Can't you see us survivors, we matter? We're pushing to make a change for the future. Will you, our justice system, make up for the ills of the past? Will you see we are, or will you give to last? Well done, Doug.
Drag me off for that.
So next up we've got Billy from Parents Against Grooming, loves public speaking, it's his bread and butter.
No pressure.
Right guys, so I exist for prevention. It exists to prevent abuse in Rochdale. Ways we do that, we want to take around the country because we know how effective it has been in my town. Parent Patrol, for one. Parent Patrol exists of me and a few others patrolling hotspot areas in Rochdale, keeping it safe for our children. I believe other towns can benefit from setting up this Parent Patrol. We have park spots across the United Kingdom. The amount of 80% of street grooming is taking place in your park, in your town. guys, you've got to keep your eyes open, you've got to patrol these parks, prevent your to come to Nottingham. It's a shame that we have to travel around the country to child exploitation in this day and age. So we can only, in Rochdale, we're down to 0 police. We're down to 1 officer in my town at one time. Can I just say, Louise, it's not just here in Nottingham. It's not just here in Nottingham where people walk past. We get this in Rochdale as well. And you're right, it throws me. It's annoying me watching people not even paying attention. It makes me just want to walk away from the mic because it's pointless, you know. I'm speaking to the people. It's down to you guys in your towns to prevent your children from being abused, yeah? Because the police are no longer going to do it, the social services are failing to do it, and the institutions are failing to do it. So people like us from Rochdale have had to get up.
So next up we've got a lady who never stops.
I recently used to group at event. I'm a subscriber what's wrong. Childhood traumatised, sexual assault, with the feeling of being unloved anywhere. The feeling of being unloved, the abandonment of not knowing if anyone really cares, the abandonment of going quiet if anyone really cares, going quiet if anyone really cares. Bottling things up, or it could go the other way. You are, and you go on self-destruct, and you go on self-destruct, constantly being naughty, trying to draw someone's attention. For them to ask, is there something wrong? Why won't anyone reach out to me? Ask the question, just tell words, what's wrong? Running away from home. Ended up in prison, every relationship, domestic violence, all down to childhood trauma. Take a second, ask the question, what's wrong?
Brilliant that, Dawn. Thank you very much, Dawn. Much appreciated.
There's a lady here who's just someone that she wants to warn people against it.
What? Really?
Sorry I have to do this, ladies and gentlemen. I have just been assaulted by a stranger, a man who just walked up to me, grabbed my butt, squeezed it, and continued walking on. When I asked him what he was doing, oh, I'm sorry. He's 5'6" around there. Dark skin, is zipped up to the top, black jacket, dark jeans, brown wavy hair. Please be on the lookout. Do not let him touch you. Report him. Because he's doing it and he's doing it to everyone else. This is ridiculous. It has to stop, and it has to stop now. I am going to make a report right now, but because I had my daughter and my son there, I did not want to make a big issue. Otherwise, I would have been put down for assault, and that's wrong. And where are the police? I've been looking for him. We found a traffic warden. He said he can't do anything. Call 101. Where are the police? I've been looking left, right, east, north, west, south. Where are they? If they had been my daughter, what would have happened? Where are they? They should be here on the beat. We were promised that they would be here and be present so we could thought they are dressed. I'm a woman. My children should not have to witness this. Nobody should have been in the streets and having a good time and have some creep come and destroy that for them. It does not need to happen. It should not be happening. This all should stop right now. Yeah. Thank you.
Well done. Well done. Bro.
So next up we've got Chris, who's gonna close things today. No, thanks, Chris.
Yeah. First of all, I just need to say really sorry for that lady that's just been groped in Nottingham town centre. Hopefully we'll get something resolved. I just need to read out a poem from Pauline Sharp, who is from down south and who is walking the wall of China and putting a brick in the wall for all survivors in October. So this is Pauline's poem. Silent tears and empty years, unhealing pain and sinful shame, soundless screams and haunting dreams, shattered trust and self-disgust, my living hell and no voice to tell, until now silent no more. I am a survivor of ritual abuse. I have told my truth. I am no longer an object of someone else's will. I am not a prisoner of my mind or body. While a simple smell, touch or sight may trigger a memory, I no longer allow my senses to control the me that I have become. I seek affection from the ones I love and now feel comfort in their embraces where before I felt shame and fear. So that's from Pauline Sharp, Survivor. Yeah, fantastic. Well done, Pauline. So I was told that someone had said, why is she laughing when she's talking about child sexual abuse? I was holding paper, the wind was up, I was needing help, and that's why, and my banner fell on me as well, so that's why I become a bit laughing. But I would never laugh at child sexual abuse. I am a survivor. Some members of my family are survivors. It's a serious matter, and it's a serious matter that we all take very, very seriously indeed. Survivors matter. That's what this event has been about. This is what these events around the country are about. We have come here to support the survivors of Nottingham who are having a public hearing into what happened in the care homes over decades and decades and decades. But we are also trying to say to people, it's about every survivor in Nottingham and every city around the country that we are standing up and using our voices, using our lived experiences to make change happen. And that's important to every single one of us that's standing here today. We just need more people to come and support what we're doing. We need more of the general public to stop what they're doing and listen to what we're actually saying. Yeah, we need more people to come forward and say childhood abuse in all its forms, mental, physical, sexual, is not tolerable, and we should have a zero approach to all of this, because abuse in all its forms is traumatic to the victim and survivors that go through it, and it does destroy families. So if you want to join us in the next town that we visit, please get in touch with any one of us that makes up Survivors Matter. And I just need to tell you about our next event. It's the Voicing CSA event on
27th of October.
27th of October
In Huddersfield.
In Huddersfield. So we are trying to get around to as many towns and cities as we can, but we are all doing this on our own time. We are all doing this on our own money. So we are trying to do as much as we can when we can, and we need more victim and survivors to come and support us, and we need more general public to come and support. The 3 in 4 of you out there needs to come and support the 1 in 4 that is suffering from childhood sexual abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse and neglect. Thank you very much.
Well said.
Thanks, Chris. So we'd just like to thank everybody for coming today. We'd like to thank Lorraine from My Voice No More Silence as well for all the work that she does online supporting people. We'd like to thank Anthony and his group from Telford, and Angela, who I don't think she wants to get up at the moment, for the work they're doing. Parents Against Grooming, Dean, Chris from Survivors Abuse, Phil from Voicing CSA, Mike from Dark Light Foundation, Corey, I don't know where he's disappeared to, from Shadow Hunters, for coming supporting us as well. So thanks everybody, it's all much appreciated. I hope I haven't laughed anybody off.
You've missed a couple of people off, Dan, and that is Danny Wollstonecroft from Shatter Boys and Louise Macaulay from Shatter Girls. So please don't forget yourself when you're thanking people. Alright. And Red Pill Phil for filming for the YouTube and everything. So
we're all doing our bit.
Anyway, we'll be, as Chris has said, we'll be in Huddersfield next. That is as a Voicing CSA meeting. We need to keep a clear definition between our groups and organisations and Survivors Matter. We are organisations that come under one banner, but we all have our own individual work to carry on with. So we all work much harder than you see from any individual group. So please support us, and we hope to see you in Huddersfield. And remember, childhood matters as survivors matter, and we prefer that it was childhood matters rather than survivor matters, but it's survivors matter that is important at the moment, and let's get that changed. Thank you.
Well said.
Yeah, and I'm just thank you to being with us and supported. When we turned up in Rochdale, it was about flipping 6 or 7 people or 10 people or something who turned up on a cold, freezing park. Yeah, they stuck with us from day one and supported us, and we can't minimise people. Don't want to touch or talk about this subject and take a massive risk as well, getting involved with the stuff that we talk about. So thank you very much.
It's only a shadow of what you guys are going through, so honestly I'm humbled, but thank you anyway, seriously.
Brilliant. I'd say right, it's drawing to a close now, guys. You can see a lot paying attention, even with the severity of what these guys are talking about. But the courage you've got, because most of these guys consist of survivors and people who are prepared to, of many different ethnicities and all that other stuff that you kind of got to say. So personally, this is probably going to draw to a close now, guys. I'd like to thank everyone who's been on the street, who's persevered and sat through nearly 2 hours of the street. Much for all your support. If you're going to share this, thank little has been brought up on the event, so thank you, and there's many other characters here, survivors, who are doing a well-worthy cause. So thank you to everyone. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm going to try and get as many interviews as I can. Nice one, guys. Cheers to Free State. Cheers to Great Brit, Tony Bugle, Brit Girl, Reverend Simon Sideways, and all the other lovely YouTubers that we're all in the same boat. We're trying to find the truth, and there's a way of doing it and there's a way not of doing it, and I am getting the vibe now that there are some YouTubers on the right path and many on YouTube and on Facebook, although on this side, are on the wrong path. So it's awareness, guys. So thank you to all them guys mentioned. Thank you to everyone. I love you all, even the pissing haters. Love you all, guys. See you soon.